All right, and it's live.
Cool.
We're live on all three platforms: Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. For everybody that don't know, well, we gotta wait for some people to get in here. But let me go on the Facebook thing and finish setting everything up. Well, I be trying to hit the ground running. All right, I'm gonna go in there and tag you so you. So you in there right away. Damn, boy. All right. It should have gave you the notification. All right. All right. There's my screen again. All right, and we live. We're back with Bam Smith TV. Today I'm joined with a special guest, one of my old high school teammates, Keith Oliver. Keith.
Hey, say that again because people don't believe that I played basketball in high school and middle school. So I'm glad you started with teammate.
No, I messed up. One of my old high school classmates. I said classmate. I didn't say teammate.
Yeah, but didn't you play on McNichol team in middle school?
No, I didn't start playing to high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got a different recollection of me. I ain't started playing until high school. And I didn't really start in till the 10th grade.
So what year you graduated?
08.
Okay, so the year after me.
Yeah, we graduated the same year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I didn't play at McNichol at all. I remember I transferred to McNichol in the 6th grade.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, I was going to Apollo first.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I got into a fight with some racist white boy, and it was a whole thing. My mom had then called the newspapers to talk about the story, everything. It was a big thing. So that's why I went to McNichol, and I didn't want to go to McNichol or Hallandale because me and my family are all from Hollywood. So everybody, my uncles, aunties, mom, everybody went to MacArthur and Apollo. So that's a little bit of my back history with Hallandale. But let's get into you right quick. I see that you're going to DePaul University for theater, right?
Acting, get my master's in everything.
Okay. So how are you liking it so far?
It's been cool, man. Honestly, the teachers have been cool. Classes have been cool. I have experienced the culture shock just because I've never been around. From elementary through undergrad, I had never been around this many white people consistently. And so,
damn.
Yeah, it's been interesting like that because Hallandale was predominantly black. Middle school, McNichol was more Spanish. It was Spanish and black, but there was still more of those than white people. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly, my elementary gifted classes were more diverse than you would think. So I never was predominantly around white people, and so it's been interesting. It's been challenging at times. It's been cool, because of exposure to things that I wouldn't normally find interesting. But every good thing comes with a few challenges. But I'm loving DePaul though. What I'm learning, what I'm getting to do. So yeah, I mean, good and bad, but I'm definitely enjoying DePaul and Chicago for sure.
Yeah. I seen that you moved up there, but didn't you go to FAMU first?
I did. I graduated from FAMU. I got my undergraduate degree from FAMU in theater, and so now I'm getting my master's in acting at DePaul.
Wow! So you really doing a whole complete, studying into acting and theater? Like that's your passion. Where did you start? Where did it start for you? Like theater and acting, where did it all start for you?
I think I was 6 or 7 years old. I was at Perry Elementary. So
Right.
Miramar Elementary wasn't my first elementary school. I was at Perry for a year, and we had like this Valentine's Day presentation, and all the kids got cards to read, and I was the only one that memorized mine. That was kind of the start of it.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of discovered that I like talking, and that my memory was good. Just been doing that ever since, like 6 years old.
Wow. So, okay. So when, memorizing your lines or memorizing things is like something that you have to do. You have to memorize a script in order to act really well. Or I thought it's done in takes.
Well, so it depends. Takes is for film and television, but theater, there are no takes. Once you start, you're going until either the scene ends, the first half of the play ends, or if it's Shakespeare, the first of 3 parts of the play. But it all depends. But at any rate, once you get started in theater, you're going until there's a justified reason to stop. You don't just like stop. All right, let me take it back.
Wow. So would you say theater's a little bit more harder than television and movies? Acting?
I would say it's different because television and film are challenging for their own reasons, because theater, you're taking something and you're magnifying it. Mm-hmm. So you're making, the display of emotions, well, generally speaking, because DePaul kind of teaches a bit of a different method, but generally in theater, you're larger than life because, one, there's a distance between you and the audience. You got to make things bigger so they get things, Mm-hmm. Facial expressions, movements, volume, all that stuff has to be bigger on stage. But with film and television, the camera is the magnifying glass. And because it can get like this close, you don't have to be as big. And so the challenge or the difference is sometimes toning it down for film and television while still being authentic. Because if you're too big on film and TV, it looks weird, because it's like, why are you yelling? Because depending on what the shot is, like if it's a small intimate shot and the actor is being loud, it's like it doesn't make sense. On stage, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. So it's different. I wouldn't say that it's harder. I would say that it's different. I think for theater though, you do have to know all of your lines at once. That's a bit of an advantage that film and television have. You don't have to know all your lines at once because you have takes.
Okay. So that leads me to another question. Do you have any people that you look up to in the stage, the theater, or movies and acting? Do you have anybody any person like you look up to their ilk, like maybe a Denzel or a Chadwick?
100%. In both spaces. Interestingly enough, one of the people who I admire, and you said his name already, I admire because he does both. Denzel does film and stage.
Right.
And it's not an easy thing to be able to translate those skills sometimes for actors. And he just makes it look so easy. But in other theater, people that I look up to, their work, my mentor, his name is Reginald Wilson. He's actually a multi-award-winning actor in New York. He's won several Delco Awards. Reggie Wilson.
Okay, Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
Pull them up.
Some other guys that I look up to. Any film actor that does stage and theater, those are actors that I look up to. So Samuel L. Jackson, Denzel Washington, all these guys who have crazy successful film careers, but they'll get on the boards real quick to let you know that that they're not just one dimensional. So I think is Wendell Pierce is getting ready to do I want to say Death of a Salesman on Broadway, but he's mostly known for TV. He's if I'm not mistaken, Bunk in The Wire.
Okay.
And he's getting ready to do a run on Broadway. Yep, Wendell Pierce.
I think I pulled up Reggie Wilson. Reginald L. Wilson.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah. Right here?
Yep. So Reggie was my mentor at FAMU. After he graduated FAMU, he actually just finished that show in Tallahassee right there. That show just went on this past weekend. So yeah, I met him.
Sugar Ray Leonard. He played Sugar Ray Leonard in this show.
One man show. That's one of the shows he won an award for.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He looked like he's really in character too.
Yeah, he honestly is one of the best actors I've ever had the chance to meet, and to be mentored by him and to watch how he's never trying to go into somebody else's lane. Like he has a lane and he's comfortable in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah.
Who was the other actor you said you look up to?
Wendell Pierce. Well, not Wendell Pierce. I do look up to, but I said that he does film and television. I said pretty much any actor who moves between both. So Samuel L. Jackson, he's done both. Wendell Pierce, who I mentioned, Denzel. All the people who have long-standing careers. Because it's. You get one or two projects or things under your belt. Wendell, Windel. There you go. Yeah.
Almost like Wendell.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, Wendell. Oh, I know this guy.
Yeah, and he's getting ready to be on Broadway. So those are guys that I look up to, guys who can do both.
What was the movie that everybody remember him from? He's always been a villain in the I think it was Tyler Perry movies or.
Who, Wendell Pierce?
What movie was he in that everybody remembers?
I don't remember him. The thing that he's most known for is The Wire. That I do know. He was the Bunk on The Wire.
You sure? It was a show before The Wire that he was famous for too.
I don't know. No, I'm not saying he wasn't famous before then, but the show that he's most known for is The Wire, because that's the most successful show that he was a part of. But he did, as you see, a lot of things.
Yeah, I think it might have been what I'm recalling him for is either Waiting to Exhale or I Think I Love My Wife.
Oh, I mean,
I'm trying to remember which one of them was more pronounced.
Can't go wrong either way. But yeah, just actors like that. Chadwick Boseman, God rest his soul, but he went to Howard for acting, so he started in stage. And he actually studied over in the UK for a little while. And Denzel Washington paid for it.
I remember that story.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder too. Why DePaul? Why did you choose DePaul of all the universities?
So I have this uncanny ability to find what's only for me. And what I mean by that is, so in my real life, I will lose things like pretty regularly, but nobody finds them but me. Like I've lost things for months at a time and will be in the same space as other people. Nobody finds it, but I always randomly find it. And so I say that to say that with grad school, much like undergrad, I didn't pick, I didn't have my choice of places where I wanted to go. One school admitted me each time. In undergrad, I only got into one school. Grad school, I only got into one school. So going back to my, original point, like I find what's meant for me.
Mm-hmm. Did you apply to a bunch of different schools for your undergrad and your grad?
Yeah, I applied to multiple schools both times. I think I applied to the same amount both times. I think I applied to 4 schools both times.
Wow. And only one of them accepted you both times?
Each time.
Wow. That's a pretty cool story too in itself. I think that that's how it works too in life. A lot of the times when you walk by that faith, a lot of times what's meant for you will be. You feel me? So
yeah. Firm believer that
happened. Yeah, I'm glad that happened for you like that. But one thing that I want to say is, Allen Iverson is not a top 5 player all time. And,
I don't think I ever said he was a top 5 player of all time. Top 5.
You definitely said. No, you said.
No, what I did say is pound for pound, Allen Iverson is a top 5 player of all time, and I stand by that.
Mm-mm. Still don't know. Off the top of my head, I can think of pound for pound a lot of guys that are in that pounds.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can think of 5 better. You might be able to think of 4, but 5, like, because all things considered, and this is one of the ways that I look at basketball. Yeah, because I've never played basketball. Because okay, so I think it's levels to it, right? Mm-hmm. So I know basketball, obviously, right?
Right.
But I have only played up to a certain level, right? So obviously I study more than, I know how to do. You know the saying, those who can't do teach, right? That's why all the best coaches were never great players.
Yeah. Like, my mom told me that right before I coached 10 and under basketball. Those who can't play, son, teach. That was her way of telling me to get over not playing college ball. When I shattered my wrist in 7, I don't know if you can see it. I broke it in 7 places and compacted it my junior year at Hallandale, and that just effectively ended all basketball for me. Right. So I didn't play senior year. I was kind of depressed for the whole year after I graduated, and then after that, I tried to play college ball, and it was just like so many politics and so much other shit that stuff that went into place. Because we on YouTube. I don't want to curse on YouTube too much. Yeah, but yeah. So it was so much other stuff that went into it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. That I didn't know about basketball. So many other politics about basketball that I didn't know. That it was just like, you fighting an uphill battle. And I asked myself at a certain point, was this my passion to begin with? And my answer was simple. No. I love draw. I love art. I love multimedia since, 5 years old, 4 years old. So I said, what, I'm just going to go to school for digital multimedia. But forward to your point about Allen Iverson and him being the best pound for pound. Still don't know.
I mean, that's fine. Everything is debatable. But what I was saying was, like, it's tiered, right? So I only played to a certain level. And, somebody in college, they have more playing experience than me. But because the more you play and the better you are, I think, and, history hasn't proven us wrong yet, I think you get further away from the nuances of the overall game because you're so focused on doing well what you do well. I don't have the opportunity to play basketball well at a high level. So, of course, I'm going to look at every aspect of the game. And when I look at Allen Iverson, right, and I'm saying he's pound for pound one of the greatest players ever, at 6 foot, he put up 26, 3, and 6 for his career, right?
Okay.
He averaged over 20 points the first 12 to 15 years of his career, like out the gate. Kobe started backwards. Kobe was averaging 8 and then like 14 and then like 16. The end of his third year or his fourth year is when he started scoring like Kobe.
Okay.
And if you go look at a lot of great players, with the exception of like Jordans and LeBrons and D Wade's, generational talents, with the exception of a handful of guys, players usually build their way up. Allen Iverson came out the gate firing 23 points a game as a rookie. 1, 2,
okay.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Jordan did something similar. I think it was 28 for Jordan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Jordan is in that ilk too. So for the first 14 years of Iverson's career, he averaged 20 points or better.
Yeah.
And he's doing all this at 6 foot in a time where we can't say it's the plumbers that Jordan played that people like to say. Like, we're talking about KG's, Tim Duncan's, tail end of David Robinson, who won the championship in '99. Alonzo Mourning. Who else? Like, all these great bigs. I think from '96 to when Iverson finished in the league at like 2008. Like, think about all these guys, right? And Allen Iverson is outscoring the KGs, the Paul Pierces, the Tracy McGrady's, the Kobe Bryant's, like the greatest players of his time. He's outscoring them consistently. Nothing you can do with him. Defensive player of the year or not. Literally nothing offenses could do with him.
Right. So
And then he's a football player, by design. Like that was the first thing he did. That was the sport he loved. If
quarterback.
You look at Iverson film. This is one of the things that doesn't show on the box score. It doesn't show in the category. But if you go back and look at the way Allen Iverson used to play passing lanes, he was a 6-foot, two-way player who averaged almost 24 points a game his first 14 years in the league. Like those are crazy numbers. If anybody else puts up those numbers, we put them in the Hall of Fame first ballot, right? Iverson's in the Hall of Fame first ballot. And then I look at stuff like, Kobe saying, we're all lucky he wasn't 6'6". This coming from top 3, 4, depending on how you call it, top 3, 4 players of all time. Any weight class, Kobe being Bryant.
Right.
Kind of giving his co-signing. And Kobe didn't co-sign a lot of motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's true.
People. Kobe didn't co-sign a lot of people. And so when I think about all that for Allen Iverson, I don't see how you name 5 people who, if you made them Allen Iverson size, would have been nearly as successful as him.
Okay. I like how you kind of put that cherry on the end for how you want the argument to take place. But let me first say this, that
no, that's what pound for pound means. I'm not trying to steer the argument, but when I'm saying pound for pound, if all these players who are considered the greatest of all time were made 6 foot, if Kareem is 6 foot, are we talking about him?
I don't think so.
Right. And that's not to say that Kareem isn't great, but also if Allen Iverson is Kobe or Jordan's height, given what he was able to do in a smaller frame, he likely has a championship, at least one.
No.
Yeah. If Iverson is 6'6", 6'8".
No. I haven't. Okay. The important thing to notice about Allen Iverson game is that he was a great scorer, an amazing scorer. But what did he average for assists for his career? He's Kyrie Irving. He's another version of Kyrie Irving. And you see when Kyrie ain't really, on the same page as the rest of the team, the other team suffer. What Kyrie does doesn't necessarily equate to wins. What Allen Iverson does doesn't necessarily equate to wins. Yeah, it looked good. It looked flashy. He's an amazing talent as, otherworldly skill. But at the same time, when it comes to team and it comes to winning games, Allen Iverson just, he's not that guy like that. Kobe Bryant, wait. Kobe Bryant was a great and amazing player, but even he had to capitulate to his team at a certain point. He had to fit into a team concept in order to win. And the thing about Kobe that a lot of people don't understand is Kobe would play both ends with the same ferocity. Allen Iverson didn't play both ends with the same ferocity. He would steal the ball, yeah. He would get in passing lanes, but on ball defense. How many people you seen Allen Iverson sit in that chair, strap up and sit in that chair and guard and stop?
I mean, he's 6 foot. It's just like Steph Curry or Chris Paul guarding you. Steph Curry put on weight to be a better defender.
Right.
So what? Okay. So question: How many assists a game? Or no, better yet, how many times? What's a good number of assists for a scorer like Allen Iverson?
We're not going to say score. We're not going to say score because his position was technically supposed to be the primary ball handler or the point guard of the 76ers.
Okay, so how many assists a game would you think that somebody in that position is supposed to average?
For a point guard, for anybody that's got the ball, the responsibility of handling the ball, 7 to 8. 7 to 8 is a good number.
Okay, and so how many times do you think Allen Iverson averaged 7 assists or better?
Well, how long was his career? You gotta tell me his length. His career.
His career
I think
was
15 years, 16, something like that.
16.
I'd say 5 years out of the 16, he probably averaged better than 7.
7 years.
7 years?
Career, he averaged 7 assists or better.
Okay.
And there were years where he was at 6.7 and 6.2 and 6.8. So 3 years he was just below the average.
So what's his average for his career? What's the number?
6.2.
6.2. It's a little bit below that number. That
it's a little
number.
It's a little bit below the 7, but I think the point that's proven there is, was he Steve Nash when it came to assists? Was he Chris Paul? No, he wasn't those guys, but those guys couldn't score like him. And so he's giving you just below what you think it should be the average for a primary ball handler, but then he's also giving you way more scoring. He's not way below average. He's not 2-3 assists a game and giving you 30 points. He's giving you 6.2 for his career and giving you 26 points a game. I think Iverson's biggest thing wasn't that he didn't know how to win, because if you go back and look at Iverson footage, he won. Look at the road he went through the playoffs to get to the finals that year. He played Reggie Miller. He played Ray Allen and Sam Cassell. He played Vince Carter. Was able to beat all of those teams as an individual. He pretty much won those series by himself. He got a little bit of help here and there, but for the most part, he won those series.
What about with Melo? What about his help that he had with Melo? Why he didn't make it to the finals?
He wasn't the point guard. He wasn't the point guard. One, because Chauncey Billups was on that team.
Right, I remember. I'm just saying why he didn't make it.
And I think coaching had a big part to do with it. George Karl's a horrible coach. I hate George Karl as a coach. Yeah, horrible coach. Horrible coach.
He like the most like top 5 winningest coaches of all time?
No. I'm almost certain that's a no. Well, we can look it up though.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's a no. And then if he is, he had Allen Iverson play for him and DeMarcus Cousins. So let's keep that in context. At 2 separate times. But most winning coaches, pretty sure he's not top 5. Yeah, but I've never liked George Karl as a coach, and I think that coaching, depending on what your team needs and what your players need, every player, every team, you know this, doesn't need the same type of coaching style. True. Certain coaches need to be able to pull the team together. Certain coaches need to be able to pull, potential out of a guy. So George Karl, he's actually just right outside of the top 5.
Yeah, I know he was a very winning coach. I know he was a good coach, supposedly, according to ESPN and statistics and his number of wins. I think he was number 6, right?
Yeah, he's number 6 in statistics. But this is my thing, and I talk to people about this all the time. The thing that I really hate is when we just look at the game through statistics, because that removes all context, right? So you know who George Karl is above? Phil Jackson, Larry Brown, Doc Rivers, Rick Alden.
Doc Rivers not a good coach either, though.
No. But still, okay. So one out of Phil Jackson, Larry Brown, Red Auerbach. You telling me he's better than those 3 coaches?
No, not all of them, but Doc Rivers for damn sure.
Doc, sure, but he's better. He's better than 1 out of 4.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we're looking at his win averages and like, okay, that's cool, but he's not a better coach than 3 of the coaches he's above. He doesn't have more rings than Phil Jackson, Larry Brown. He ain't got more rings than Doc Rivers. How many rings does George Karl have as a coach?
Head coach?
Yeah.
0, but so does Jerry Sloan. And Jerry Sloan went to the finals like 4 or 5 times. So
you prove my point. The number of wins does not matter as when the wins come.
True.
Because not every NBA champion had the most wins that season they won the ring.
That's true.
And so I think when Iverson was in Denver, I think that was a huge part of why he wasn't successful. I think the coaching, because can you tell me what George Karl focuses on as a coach? You can tell me what Doc focuses on. You can tell me what Pop focuses on. You can tell me what Phil focused on. You can tell me what Spoelstra focused on. You can tell me what Larry Brown focused on. You can tell me what all these coaches focus on. What did George Karl focus on as a coach? And even though he's a horrible coach, you can tell me what Steve Nash focuses on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. It was the same thing. It's all like that Mike D'Antoni.
Him too. You can tell me what he focuses on, but he's a horrible coach too.
Right, because they focus mostly on offense, primarily offensive coaches.
And not even offense in a way that's clever, or not even clever, not even a way that is efficient. Because Phil Jackson was one of the coaches that you can think of that focused on both.
Mm-hmm.
But for offense, he came up with a system so he could pay more attention to the defensive nuance of the game.
Yeah. And
so, I think George Karl, because there's no reason that Denver team shouldn't want a ring.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with Carmelo in his prime. Yeah, definitely. But I think that also we could say the same about the players that were on that team. The same thing that we're saying about George Karl is the same thing we can say about the players, because Carmelo, year 20, he still hasn't won a ring yet either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, but I wouldn't just like I wouldn't call George Karl one of the greatest coaches of all time. I would call Melo one of the greatest scorers, but I think winning, and when you do it, it matters. Like, you can win all the regular season games, you can win all the clutch regular season games, last 5 seconds, steals, block, all that is cool. But when the winning counts, the winning that everybody remembers, nobody remembers game 56 that you won in the season with a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
But you know what shots they do remember? The Jordans, the LeBrons, the D-Ways, the buzzer beaters to win championships, to win pivotal games.
Yeah. Now I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on that. And that brings me to my next point. Do you think Steph Curry is a better player all time than LeBron James?
I think somebody asked me this the other day. I think it's hard for me to say yes or no, because there's so many things that are different about their game. The position, the size, the preferred method of scoring. There's so many differences other than the fact that they can both score. I don't even know if I can make that comparison. I think it's easier when they're at least in the same position. But Steph doesn't even have the primary ball handling role on his team. That's Draymond Green.
Right.
And so LeBron has been the primary ball handler for just about every season he's been in the league. There's been a couple seasons where he played other positions, so he might not have on paper been the primary ball handler, but even when he's playing out of center or forward, he's still dribbling the ball up some of the time.
Mm-hmm. So I think that this, man, but that's the crazy part though. We have this comparison contrast with who's the GOAT when it comes to Jordan and LeBron, and they don't play the same position.
And I'm about done with that one too, man, because there's so much to factor in, and I don't think anybody's ever going to be honest about what the other had to deal with, so they can give their guy more credibility. So what I mean is, everybody says Jordan played plumbers, and they act like he wasn't in a league where Sean Kemp, Horace Grant,
Gary Payton,
they act
Charles Barkley.
They acting like these guys were on his team.
Mm-hmm.
And, they acting like, these guys just rolled up to the gym every day to play basketball. They act like these were not the best guys of the time. Jordan might have been the best of them, but these guys were no slouches. Like I said to somebody the other day, I think Ray Allen is he's one of the most credible people when it comes to comparing Jordan and LeBron for the GOAT title, because he played in both eras. When he was in Seattle as a Supersonic and he went up against Jordan 4 times this season for the last 2 seasons of Jordan's career, he put up numbers against Jordan in some of those games. Some of those games they won. And Jordan, Pippen, and Robin played, and the Sonics still beat them in some games. And so to say that he played against plumbers, I think is discrediting a lot of really good players, and I also think it's a way to make it seem like his competition wasn't as stiff as LeBron's. I think for the time period it was, because LeBron has Steph Curry. Reggie Miller and Ray Allen were the Steph Curry of Jordan's time. They didn't shoot as much volume, but the deadly shots, the people you had to watch from three, you couldn't turn your head on, they were those guys in Jordan's era.
True.
So, and then for LeBron, Jordan fans will never, admit that, yes, LeBron is a great player, but his competition is really good too. And LeBron's never had great coaches, except for, I think the only time he really had a good coach was in Miami. And I think Tyronn Lue was a good coach, but I think Cleveland's front office is trash.
Yeah, but I think that you have a little bit of bias when it comes to Miami. With all the Miami posters and stuff in your background. Yeah, of course you have a little bit of bias.
I'm hella biased. But I'm also a lover of the game, and so I can admit, when things, aren't what they should be, or when we've been bested. Like, yes, I'm going to always find a way to put Miami in the conversation. But I know when we're not the best team. But
you do.
But the Knicks know when they're not the best team, and they talk shit every year.
Oh, okay.
So, I think that's just part of sports. Like, the Knicks are never good, but a Knicks fan. We both know one that talks shit crap every year, like they're gonna do something. And my thing is, at least with the Heat, since 2006, it's not even 2026. So within the last 20 years, we've done something 3 out of 6 times. 3 out of 5. No, 3 out of 6. No, 3 out of 7. I'm sorry.
This is true. 2. No, was it? It was 2. It was 2 out of the last 4. 2 out of the last 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, putting all that into context, I talk stuff because my team has at least gave me a little bit to, back my argument up. Knicks talk trash and they ain't got nothing. They ain't won a ring since the 70s.
Yeah. All right. When Phil Jackson was a player, not a coach.
Exactly.
But I also wanted to say this, because we both Heat fans. We both love our team, die hard. And I've been on you about this plenty of times, you feel me? And you know where I'm going with this. I think that did you change your view on that yet? Do you think it's time to trade Tyler Hero? You think it's time?
Depending on boy. So here's the thing. I still like Tyler Hero, but depending on who we can get for Tyler Hero, I'd be open to it. Like, if we can get a Bradley Beal, a Kevin Durant, something like that, yeah, I'll trade him. But if you're talking about...
What about Dame?
Yeah.
Kyrie?
So I don't want to be poisoned. I don't want to be poisoned by media. Because you never have an assurance of what's going to happen with a player. Like, Kyrie could get hurt next season no matter where he is. So for his skill, yeah.
No, deal or no deal right now. If I'm Brooklyn, I call Miami. You want Kyrie for Tyler Hero straight up? Do you do that deal? Straight up, Keith? Not even straight up.
Yeah, I'm thinking because I'm thinking like I'm putting myself in the mind of Pat, knowing that Pat is a defensive guy, and how for Tyler to see minutes when Duncan wasn't seeing minutes, he had to give a little bit something extra, and that his defense was better than Duncan's at least.
Yeah. So what about Russell Westbrook? Will you do Tyler for Russell? No?
Russell Westbrook is the most athletic point guard of all time. He is a great player. I just don't think he fits our team system. And I don't think there's a coach alive that can make him fit Miami's system, because Russ is going to do what he wants to do. And I think that's a great thing for him. But I think when it comes to being put in winning situations, I think it's probably been his biggest Achilles heel.
Damn. You might be right about that. And I think that he's so turnover prone and so bullheaded about it. What makes him great is his relentlessness. That's the same thing that what makes him terrible. You feel me? Because he'll turn the ball over nonstop, and he'll look at you like he did nothing wrong. He'll miss shots, and he'll look at you like, hey, it's a part of the game. I'm just out here hooping, giving it all I got. There's no actual basketball IQ Like, you can't even see the wheels turning of why he made certain decisions. If you ask him to explain it, he catches an attitude. So guys like that, I don't think is, they're more trouble than they're worth. You feel me? So I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I definitely wouldn't want him to.
Yeah, so like, because Russ's name had been floated around a couple times to come to the Heat, and every time it came up, people would ask him, like, no, not because he would, like, because I feel like every player like a Russell Westbrook, and when I say player like, I mean a focal offensive point. Like, for Russ to be successful, he has to be the center of an offense, whether that's facilitating or scoring. He has to be the center. Same for LeBron. For LeBron to be successful, he has to be the center of an offense, either facilitating or scoring. KD, Steph, the greatest players, they're going to be the center of your offense one way or another. Shaq, he was either scoring or passing out of the post, but he was the center of the offense.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, but I don't know if Russ, because I think a Miami system, or let's use San Antonio system. Russ would wither on the vine and die in San Antonio.
Why you say that?
Because the idea of getting in where you fit in, even if you're the best player on the team, that's something that wouldn't compute to him. It's the same thing. It's the same problem Melo had when he first went to OKC, and they were asking him, will he come off the bench? And he was talking to Paul George in the back. Hey, P, they asked me if I'm coming off the bench. Like, it's unconscionable to him.
True.
So for us, it's unconscionable to get in where I fit in. That's why he's struggling in LA this year, because he had to get in where he fit in. And he doesn't know how to fit in. He stands out. Yeah,
that's true. The whole why not campaign and shit for his shoes. Another question, since we're on the subject of LA and Hollywood, you think LeBron wins another championship? No.
I mean, it's over. That my first answer is no, because my immediate answer is no. But I think that depends on if Mr. Glass can stay healthy for a whole season.
AD?
Yeah. If he can't stay healthy for the whole season, no. If he can stay healthy and either Russ learns to fit in or they get somebody else for Russ, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. What you think about his movie? What do you think about that Space Jam 2?
I'm gonna be real with you. I have not watched the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't watched the whole thing.
It's been out for like 2 years now almost.
I know. I started watching it and I didn't finish, and there was nothing pulling me back like, hey, you got to finish this.
So it's trash.
No gravitational pull on it.
So it's trash.
I mean, I cannot say confirm or deny, but if it didn't pull me back, it gave trash vibes.
And this is coming from a theater graduate and an actor. He says LeBron acting or that movie did not pull him in. They had no gravitas. No Steph Curry. Steph Curry gravity.
Yeah, it didn't make me want to come back to it.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a cool little movie for the generation it was made for.
True. The kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. My niece loved it. She loved it. She just because of the colors and the special effects and all of that stuff. It's really, really cool. I think somebody made a joke that the special effects people should have been nominated because the tape line that they created for LeBron in the movie, they should have been nominated for an Oscar or something like that. I think it was Regina Hall who made that joke. It was definitely, cool. I think they should have left him as an animated character the whole time. It would have been better because his voice acting is better than his actual acting.
Yeah.
That was trash.
Because it's less to think about. You do voiceover. You don't have to worry about what your body looks like, and getting a camera on you can make you really self-conscious really quick.
True.
And so, it is easier to do voice work in that regard. That's not to say voice work is easy. It's just easier when you don't have a camera in your face picking up every little thing that you do.
Somebody told me that I should voice act before. And as a matter of fact, I got to get him on. I got to reach out to him and get him back on the show. Mr. Howard, Mr. Lowell Howard.
That name sounds familiar.
I think it's your program director of your theater.
At what school? At DePaul?
No, I think at FAMU. He used to be a professor at University of Miami.
Lowell Williams.
It's Lowell Williams. I don't know why I say Lowell Howard. It's Lowell Williams. Yeah, he told me I should do voice acting. You know, he was one of the first people that actually came on the Crash Culture podcast, the other podcast that I do about it's like a social commentary on politics.
Yeah.
But you know, I kind of put that on hiatus because, you know, I wanted to rework the content because it was like I'm doing a podcast technically about me with my friends, about my friends, you know, and I kind of wanted to put some distance between that and this. You feel me? So people know clearly this is what Crash Coach is about, social and political commentary, and this is what Bam Smith TV is about. It's about, you know, Bam himself and his friends and the people that he knows and the connection that he makes. And it's about them. Essentially, it's about y'all right now. So, I got to reach back out to Mr. Williams and get him on the show again because he talked about some interesting stuff.
Oh yeah, he's a deep dude. He directed me in a play before I moved from Miami. A couple of plays actually. One main stage and some readings.
Right. He had sent me the link. I actually watched the play with you and your lovely wife Jasmine.
Oh, okay.
I watched one of the plays.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the play, but I think that y'all had a kid that y'all was like talking to in the play. I can't remember the name of the play, but I watched it. He sent me the link to it, and I watched it. I was like, "Oh, look at old Keith getting his act on."
Oh, good,
yeah. Do you you've done? What's your goal with that? Like with acting, you want to get on Broadway? What's up?
I don't
Speaking
think
into existence.
Yeah, so I'll say I don't know. I don't think I have a goal as far as a particular stage, except in Chicago I do. I want to perform at the Steppenwolf and the Goodman Theater.
Okay.
But as far as like Broadway or not, I want to have a career that lasts. I want to have a career that's consistently working, doing projects that I care about, whether I'm writing them or just being in them. But as far as, you know, if the right thing came along and I had the opportunity to be on Broadway, of course. But I think I'm more interested in the longevity aspect of being able to take care of my family as an actor.
Okay. All right. So do you write? You write as well?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a play right now.
Can you tell a little bit about it, or you got to keep it close to the vest?
I can tell you a little bit about it. So basically, it's a play inspired by seeing Black people maneuver through various spaces and all of the things that come with maneuvering, the code switching of it all, their space being monitored and policed, and not just by police, and not just in situations where a crime, you know, may or may not have taken place. Just like literally, there's no place in the world that Black people can go where they're not monitored, and there's not an expectation of their behavior from space to space. And the thing about it is, they don't get to pick the code or conduct or standard of behavior that is the standard in that room that they happen to be in at that moment in time. And so the play, you know, examines what it is to be Black and to be constantly under scrutiny and policed, and how to navigate all those things. And not necessarily is there a right or wrong way, but no matter the way, you're still going to come up against challenges.
Wow. That's an amazing elevator pitch there, Keith. You're working on it. You know, it's funny that you talk about Black people and their expected code of conduct in certain spaces. I think that, you know, that reminds me of an interview that I seen from Mashada Ali. And he summed it up perfectly when he said that Black people go through the world playing defense. We don't have the capacity to play offense until we get to a certain level.
Yeah.
You feel me? So that's kind of
all that's in the play, actually. Like, you know, speaking on similar concepts like the offense versus defense until you get into a certain level, because one of the characters in the play, his name is Deshaun. He references how to, or not even reference, he full out lays out a plan as a black man, how to get a voice large enough that they can't silence.
Wow. And that's all a part. This is all the stuff that you're writing?
Yeah.
Damn, boy, Keith, I got to give it up for you, man. You know, that's some amazing writing, bro. I think that the writing part of movies and acting is some of the most underwritten, which is funny. You know, that's almost like an oxymoron or whatever they call that. It's one of the most underrated. My bad. Underrated parts. I
knew you would get there. I have faith in you. I knew you would get there.
You knew it.
Yeah,
but the underrated parts of it, you know, the whole production, you feel me, is just like this one big project, say for instance, high school project, you know, team project, you know how the teacher picks everybody out in classes, puts them in the groups. You're in this group. You're in this group. A production is a project. That's why we refer to it as that.
Oh, for sure, 100% it's a project. 100%.
The person that has the most important role is essentially the person that does the writing. That's going to tell the story, how the story is going to go. You feel me? To me. Okay. Now, after that, the second most important, because if you got a terribly written script, whoever's producing it, it don't matter. You can be the most amazing producer. You can be the most famous producer. You could be what's the Black Godfather himself? I forget his name.
Forrest Whitaker.
Forrest Whitaker.
Is it Forrest Whitaker? Yeah.
Yeah. So you could be him yourself, and if the script is trash, you know the movie's gonna be trash regardless. So I think that writing.
Yeah, but if the acting is trash and the script is good, you still got a bad movie.
True. So that goes without saying. The acting is almost like, it goes hand in hand with the writing, you know. But it's so many actors in a movie or in a play that, you know, all of them can't be trash. You feel me? It might be one or two, but all of them can't be trash. So I think it's more of a mix when it comes to that. And I mean, it's multiple writers too. Yeah. So some of them might pick up for the next one. And then after that, I think that the person that ties it all together is that director or that producer. You feel me? Because they're the ones who have to oversee.
The producer hires the creative team. The creative team crafts, you know, the story in between the lines. So, you know, Will Packer hires the writer and he picks the casting director. He may even, you know, handpick, you know, I need Kevin Hart, I need Michael Ealy, I need Taraji P. Henson. But, you know, he is not going to be on set because, you know, he's not going to be on set saying, okay, try this again and go there. Because he picked a director that he trusts that's going to work well with the actors and craft the story that they all talked about before they started, you know, production.
But what about the producer directors? Aren't they the ones that's like...
Well, those do exist, but every producer isn't a director.
True. You know, because I see in a lot of Will's movies, like, you know, before Will did the whole slap, I see a lot of his movies. He used to be a producer director. A lot of Denzel movies, they would be produced and directed by him as well. I guess when you get to a certain level, you do both. You do produce, direct, and act.
If you want to do both. Because some people have no interest in directing because it is, for as much as you think the actor's job is, you know, the most challenging, or the writer's job is most challenging, the director has to unify all of that together. And so that means they have to know as well as the writer, if not more so, why everything happens and how, if I shoot it this way, this is the story it's going to tell on the other end of the TV. Or if I focus on this thing when in this scene, people are going to think that this is what the scene is about, and this was just a way to get the scene started. You know, like, it's all of these things that a director has to think about. And that's just, you know, the artistic storytelling part of it. You know, what about, okay, their face isn't lit, or that's too far back. There's just so many things, and so I think honestly, everybody's job is equally as hard because there's a part of each job that focuses on something that another part doesn't have to focus on. Like once I write the story, I'm gone. How if I wrote some impossible stuff in there, it's up to you to figure out how to make it possible.
Right. So that brings me to another question. How do you think basketball and acting kind of mirror each other?
Oh man, this is a great question because I tell people this, not super often, but I've told people this before. And I think I was having a conversation with somebody earlier this year. I think acting and the pursuit of it, I think you have to treat it like a sport. That's number one. So that's where they're similar because you have to train even when people aren't watching you. Like I've taken acting classes even when I wasn't in school. Like I'm getting my master's now and I got my undergrad degree. But between those times, I took acting classes. It's just like, between seasons, training. Like for a basketball player, going to the gym, putting up shots, trying a new move. It's the same for acting, memorizing monologues, trying new accents. So I think they're really, really similar. And I think the team concept is something that's very similar. Like no one position is more important than any other. Like they all play a pivotal role. Like in basketball, you can play with four people, but you're going to be at a disadvantage. You can act, without lights, but you're going to be at a disadvantage. You can make a movie without an actor. You can just have, scenery and things that don't talk. But the stories that are more compelling, you hear from people. So I think that's how I think they're similar. I think they're very similar, actually.
Yeah. I think that basketball is almost like a manual for it. Kind of gives you a lot of life lessons. You feel me?
Sure.
In the brief amount of time when I played organized, it taught me a lot about camaraderie. It taught me a lot about really getting to know people and really getting to understand how they operate, how they function. And coaching and teaching kids about the game of basketball also taught me in itself how to have, more understanding for an individual. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So yeah, basketball can definitely teach you a lot of life lessons, and it definitely has almost like it can mirror almost anything professionally that you're trying to get yourself into. Sure. I think that Kobe Bryant, one of the reasons why it was so tragic that he passed is because everybody had that great hope for him in his second career that he was going to be just as great in that as he was in basketball. Yeah. Like he had won an Oscar, boom, right out the gate. Right after he left basketball, he won an Oscar right out the gate. So it was like this hope that Kobe was going to be whatever he was going to be that and bigger in his next field of professional, his next endeavor. And it's just tragic that he left too soon. And I think that the same is true for even Chadwick Boseman. You feel me? Like following that same type of pattern. People were so excited for them just because they had that, I don't know what they call it, that dog in them now on Twitter. Like where they put like an X-ray up of a person's heart and they put the dog in them or whatever. But they had that fighting spirit. You feel me? Like you could see it in their eyes. Whatever they was gonna do, they was gonna be successful. So I think that like people like that, man. And I think sports play a big part in those type of people's lives because it teaches them that type of lesson.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And I think for me, acting has acted in a similar way just because, all of the shows that I've had the pleasure to be a part of or even just see, there's so much to be learned from it, and not just how to tell a story, but you see all of those same things, like how to work together if you're on the production side of it, or if you're watching it, being exposed to a different cultural idea, a different perspective, way to see life. So I think acting, especially, not just acting, for film and TV and theater, I think they all have that similar function to basketball. At least they have for me. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about both of them.
Okay. Do you have any tips for, like, say for instance, what if I was trying to be a, suave debonair actor myself? What tips would you have for me just getting into the field of acting?
Take class.
Take class.
Yeah, take classes. Because the we get humans, we're so good at building walls.
Mm-hmm.
We're so good at putting distance between us and the things that hurt us, the things that make us uncomfortable, um, the things that make us vulnerable. We're so good at putting distance in between us and those things. And the reason we gravitate toward movies and television and film so much is because those people make us feel. And we wouldn't feel if we felt like they had this mirror up, if they were so far from what their problem is. But when you watch, when you watch a show and you have somebody struggling with something and they're leaning into it, whether it's tearing them down or whether they're finding a way to overcome it, we go on that journey with them because they're not, trying to get away from these things. And in those moments where they are trying to get away from them, the moments where they are trying to push things aside, it makes for a good storyline, but the trueness of the emotion that they're going through is what we gravitate towards. And I think that classes help you to get reacquainted with that, because you didn't always do that. You weren't born with walls up. You were born the purest expression of emotion. Life dampens that. And so if you want to be an actor, if you don't have the advantage of never having lost that, from childhood, then you have to be, I think classes help you get reacquainted with it.
Mm.
And then also, there are some technical things. There are some technical things that coincide with acting. Breathing, volume, accent work. Those things are taught in class as well. So I think it's a great place to start, because also I think it puts to the test how much you really want to do it. Because it's easy to want to be on the court when everybody's watching you and you have something to show out. You have, somebody to show out for. You got the audience cheering you on.
Yep.
But, can you go and shoot in an empty gym and put up 100 shots, whether you get a cheer or not? Can you go run a monologue and stumble through it and be told that wasn't your best, or can you do this again and still want to do it?
Yeah.
So, and I think class kind of puts that to the test, because if you're getting frustrated in class and you give up or you don't want to come back, then what's to say you're not going to do that on a project, that's shooting for 4 weeks and you tired after 2?
You preach it, boy. You preach it with that one. Yeah, so, for sure.
I think class is a great start. Because it shows the commitment, and I think that's a huge thing for acting. If you want to do it, there's a commitment, and before you can commit to the uncomfortable, emotions and displaying those uncomfortable emotions, you have to be sure that you can commit to the time that it takes to do it. Because if you're doing theater, shows run for months at a time, like hundreds of times doing the same script over and over. So you got to know that you're committed to it, and if you're not committed to investing in yourself and the craft, then you probably don't want to do it for it. You just want to be famous, and that's cool, but you got to be real with yourself as to why you want to do it.
Yeah, that's an important thing. I think that more to your point, you can't be afraid to look stupid or fail. Anytime you're getting into something that you don't have much familiarity with, you know what I mean? You're not that much experience in it. And I think that you are right. Like, learning this from somebody who's been through it, or learning something from somebody that specializes in that, is a way for them to teach you, like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Here are the technical skills that you need. Here is the knowledge base that I'm going to give you in order for you to be successful. You feel me? You're going to fail a million times. You might look foolish a million times, but you're going to get over it, and you're going to learn that there's nothing to be afraid of in failure, or it teaches you great lessons for you to succeed.
Failure is the only place that you really learn. Because if you got everything right, what are you learning?
Yep.
Failure is the only place that you learn. You only learn by getting the answer wrong. Because I can tell you all of the facts in the world, and then you go to the test. If you get them all right, your memory was amazing. But what are the chances you're going to get every question right?
Do you think people have like a talent, like for acting? Like, how do you know if you have a talent for acting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is something that would be an indication of that?
That's a dope question too, because one of my acting for the camera class / improv teacher, he's the same teacher. He asked us earlier this year to make a list of things that we consider like what is good acting for us, because the answer varies from person to person. But for me, I think the first thing is vulnerable, right? Like how, and I don't just mean vulnerable like weak and you're easy prey. Like, I mean vulnerable in the sense of how
fearless.
Maybe fearless. Like, you're not afraid to just be whatever you are in that moment. And as far as you're concerned, nobody's looking at you. You're having a private moment in public.
Yeah.
So if that's a conversation between two people, if that's you in a room by yourself, if that's you, whatever the progression is you're going through, you're honestly having it. So yeah, I think that's a huge thing, like that vulnerability, and I guess honesty would be the second thing. Those are things that I look for. Like, does this person, are they moving in such a way? Are they moving and operating in such a way where it looks like they're performing, or are they being? And I don't know if that makes sense, because
it makes perfect sense. And I'm gonna go back to basketball on that one, because it's like when you first learning the technical skills of how to dribble, how to shoot, you overthinking everything. I think that what makes people great, or what makes the greats great, is they put in the time, they put in the hard work to get to a level where now they're just reacting. You hear all of the greatest athletes talk about it. They train so hard and they practice so much, so when they get in the game, it's just reactions. It's all coming natural to them. It's all feel like a normal body movement. And it's the same for acting. You go to those acting classes, you practice so much. When you get in those moments in the theater, it's nothing to you. It's like breathing. It's just like, oh, you immediately dive into this character because you've already been walking around with this character the whole week. And I think that's another, that's one of the most scary talented.
That's a great way to put it, actually. That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I got a little acting talent myself. I don't tell everybody about it. I don't tell everybody about my dreams of being the real next Smith. I promise you, I won't slap anybody. Well, I ain't gonna make that promise. I ain't gonna slap anybody on stage. I might slap a motherfucker on stage one of these days, but it definitely won't be about my wife. Okay, but I wanted to bring Hollywood to Hollywood at one point in time. Create my own production studio and all of that stuff, and it's still there. The dream and the hope is still there, but the work needs to be done first on a lot of different ends. And I just wanted to continue on with that point that you was making about being vulnerable and honest. And those are like the key indications of being a great actor. I know I said that it basically, all those things equate to fearlessness of being your true self. But I feel like, with guys like Heath Ledger, who dove into those characters and who was, who took on that role, acting goes so far in the sense that you tend to become that person, and how do you pull yourself out of that?
So that's a good question too. I think the answer differs for every actor. Because Heath Ledger, when preparing to do the Joker, I'm pretty sure he did what he believed was necessary to capture the essence of who this person really is. And also, I think to some degree, because my mom's always said this, and it's pretty much an acting principle, but she's always said that never say what you won't do, because based on the day or the hour, you're liable to do anything. And so, how I translate that to acting is every character you read on a page, whether it's your type or not, there is something in that character that you identify with. It can be a small thing, it can be a whole character track, it can be one really big similarity. And so, as an actor, when you come to a script, the first thing that you have to do is decide that you're not going to judge anything about this character. You cannot have a perspective that will inhibit you from doing the job. Now, that character may have a perspective on something they're doing, like they may self-loathe because they don't want to do what they're doing, but you can't hate the character for doing this thing, because then you're not going to honestly portray it, because you feel some way about it. You are judging the very person you're supposed to be giving life to.
Damn.
That's
in depth.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the degree's working, because we learned so much, we talked through so much, and I think one of the things that's been really cool about DePaul is the ability to look at things from all different angles. Like, I had a class where we learned different ways to read plays, and you're like, what? Like, I thought there was only one way to read a play. No, like, you can read a play and focus on a character track. You can read a play and focus on the world of a play, meaning like that ecosystem, like the hierarchy of people, the jobs that people do. You can study that. You can study an issue of the play. So maybe it's not the world that it's in, the container that it's in, but it's a particular issue that these people face. Or it's a particular issue that this character faces, so there's so many different ways to go in and read and interpret text, right? And some ways are actor centered, other ways are director centered, and so all that's relevant, I think, and important to know.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to properly display somebody that you yourself are not. I'm pretty sure Heath Ledger has never done crime in his life before.
Yeah.
Like he at that level, like murder and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but the thing is, God rest his soul, we have no way of knowing that he didn't want to.
True.
And so it's possible that the reason he was so believable is because he allowed himself to get in touch with that person who wanted to kill that person that day that cut him off in traffic, or got tired of the person who's always pretending to be a goody-goody, but really he's just as bad as the rest of us.
Yeah, I think that Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you ever heard of him, he talks about what makes society, or what makes a man great, is not that he's safe. His ability to be dangerous is what makes him a great man, because everybody knows that he has a capacity for it. What makes this society that we live in work is the fact that there's a bunch of men in this society that has the capacity to be dangerous or be wicked or be whatever they want to be. You feel me? But they don't, because they believe in a higher, purpose. And I was having a conversation even yesterday about that. I don't know, with Mr. Hall. You remember Mr. Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with him about that the other day, and he made a perfect point about that too. He was talking about, when we all come into the communion, because I told him, what the reason why we've been having so many problems with the COVID lockdown and all this, that, and third, and getting everybody on the same page and whatnot. I even have my own points of view when it comes to that. But I told him, when it comes to individuals, we can be some of the brightest, most charismatic, most beautiful beings on the face of the earth, the individual. But when
Yeah.
you get them in a group, everybody's so selfish and self-centered that they don't care about what the collective wants. And he argued against that. He said that no, one of the things about the collective is the reason why society works the way it does is because we understand that we all have a common interest when we go outside of our own bubble.
Do we understand that? I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think we all understand that. And even those who understand it, I don't think they always do it. Like I always say, you don't have to understand, you don't have to agree with something to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if the collective actually feels that way. Because if the collective, like if we're talking about the human race being a collective, the race wars abroad and domestic wouldn't exist. But we don't all feel that way.
No, but he was saying in the sense of like everybody has a consequence, when they go out. So they obey that consequence type of deal.
And I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if everybody weighs the consequences of their actions. Yeah, because there are some people who are that calculated, and there are some people who don't spend much time thinking about their decisions.
And that was my point. But at the same time, I also kind of put myself in other people's shoes and I try to hear their point of view. So I could see why it would make sense to him. I could see why he would get that understanding as well.
Yeah.
But
I can see that too.
But at the same time, yeah, for the most part, the individual definitely, it is questionable whether they are thinking about the collective's common interests, and if that consequence is enough to give them cause for pause, cause for pause and make them think about what they're going to do before they do it.
I mean, you said it earlier, like about the similarities between basketball and acting and how they are big group projects. But everybody hasn't been a part of a group before to know how pivotal they are and how pivotal their selflessness is to the group success.
Mm-hmm.
If you've never been on a sports team, if you've never been a part of a production crew or in a production, if you've never done a team-oriented event, or if you've never been in an environment that fosters that, because jobs are team-oriented, but not every job treats it that way. Some people are only about, making their money and going home.
True.
So I think if you haven't been in an environment that fosters teamwork, then you don't think like that because you don't have team concept.
That's very, very true. And I think even if you haven't been raised in a family that fosters that, togetherness, you're not going to have that, what they call home training, to when you go outside, you know how to conduct yourself. So, yeah, it's a bunch of different. I think that certain moral concepts that we have as a society mirrors itself in almost everything that we do, and I think that that's one of those types of concepts. Helmet says camaraderie.
I don't know. Is that the word there? Oh yeah. Yes. So like that camaraderie, that togetherness, that oneness that we all feel. I don't know. I don't believe that everybody innately has that or is driven toward that, or maybe they are innately driven towards it, and things that they go through push them further away from that idea, because then you start to think about what I need to do for me. It's the whole self-actualization thing. If you're not self-actualized, you're not going to worry about the next man because you worry about self-actualizing.
Yeah, that's very, very true. He also said, some shoes are too small or too big to wear. This is correcting health, my friend Helmet, which, that's the Confucius type of quote.
Some shoes are too big or too small to wear. Me hearing that, I'm thinking like, everybody isn't meant to carry everybody's weight. Like what I can deal with, that doesn't mean you can deal with it. And what you can deal with, that doesn't mean I can deal with it. It's easy to be off in the distance and say, hey, I can do this or I can do that. But when you're actually face to face with the challenge, you know, well now you got to walk in these size 7s and you're a size 10, but you said you could do it.
Yeah. 100%.
And then when you discover you can't walk in these size 7s, you can always go back to your size 10s and not care that I'm having challenges walking in my size 7s. Even though you saw that it was a challenge, you were like, well, shit, I don't have those problems. So let me go back to these size 10s where everything is good.
Yeah. And then, you know what? You know what's so crazy? Because I tell people that all the time about, oh, I wish I had your height. People used to say that to me all the time. That's what you wouldn't believe for a tall person. You know, I think that's what gives me, I don't know what they call that, social awkwardness in groups. Because going in stores and all of this, everybody walking up, oh, you so tall. And then guys, when you play basketball or when you don't play basketball, or when they're not what you expect them to be, you're not Kobe, you're not D Wade. Oh yeah, you. I wish I had your height. If I had your height, I'd do this. I said no. I said no, you don't, because then you wish you had my knee problems. You wish you had my back problems. You wish you had the problems that I had when I go find clothes or shoes. I can't walk into a store and just get a pair of size 17s. They don't got that on the rack.
Nah. I think the high is most stores go like 15, 16, right?
Nah, 14. I stopped getting my shoes in school shoes from like stores in the 9th grade. That was the last time I was able to go inside a store and buy a pair of sneakers. And I didn't even, and the funny thing is, we ordered it from East Bay inside a Foot Locker. Like I went in there, I pointed out a shoe that I wanted, and we had to order it from Foot Locker. That was the last time my mom took me to a store to buy a pair of sneakers.
Wow.
Or the last time. Now, you know, Ross then started getting, Ross will sneak up on you now. They be having some big shoes in there. I buy them to go play basketball, but like, my actual shoes that I wear out to go places like J's and all that shit, like I have to, or all that stuff, I have to order it on East Bay or Nike.com, and they have a limited selection. Like a lot of people don't understand the other side of this height. You know what I mean? Much is given, much is tested. You feel me? That's another Confucius type of quote. So you don't want to wish for everything that everybody got, because you don't know what it takes.
100%, because you don't know what they have to deal with. You don't know the burden of weight they got to carry with what what you consider to be the gift that they have, and it goes both ways. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know what's DD's too. What's DD's too?
I'm going to assume he's talking about a store.
Oh, the store, DD's.
Yeah, that's what
I've only been in there one time, I think, in my life. I think I went with this girl I was talking to. She went to DD's for some reason, or one of my sisters, or I don't know. I thought DD's was like always like the female version of like Ross. Well, both of them sell women and men clothes, but I thought that it was more, I don't know. Like I just never been in DD's.
Yo, so LeBron is at the Drew League today.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, like playing.
Like playing?
Yeah.
In a game?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I just seen him warming up, and then I seen him in the full jersey. He's like playing at the Drew.
Hold on, let me see. I live on Twitter.
And DeMar and Kyrie playing. They all playing in Drew today. Ooh.
I thought they said Kyrie wasn't going. Hold on, let's.
It looked like Kyrie that just gave him the outlet. I'm watching some highlights right now.
Oh snap! Look at LeBron on in the Drew League.
Yeah.
Oh man, that must be hell. Him coming out to actually play in the Drew.
I mean, it's probably just like when Kobe and Harden played. Security is probably crazy. Because I remember Kobe and Harden played the game.
I remember LeBron played during the lockout in the Drew League.
Oh, I didn't know about that one.
Oh, DeMar DeRozan teamed up with LeBron. DeMar DeRozan always been like a little fan of LeBron ever since. Oh, he told us how to play. You remember that interview he had?
Yeah. I mean, you can either hate him or you can be a fan because he beat their team 3-4 years straight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. LeBron is top 6 all time. I give him top 6 all time.
He's top 5. Don't do that. He's top. He's top 3, really. He's top 3.
Yeah. Nah, I can't go there. I give him top 6. The reason why I give him top 6, I'm waiting for him to retire. Once he retires, then I'm going to probably bump him up to 2 or 3.
Okay.
Immediately. Yeah, I'm just being.
Okay,
I'm being petty. I'm being petty because he left Miami. I never tell nobody that.
You gotta let that hate. You gotta let that hate go. I let that hate go a long time because he could have left and we could have had nothing. He could have left and we could have had no rings and a decimated roster.
We had a decimated roster though.
I was about to say the roster was in pretty bad shape, but he left having won 2 rings. Should have been 3, but I'm trying to let that one go too. I haven't let 2011 go yet. I'm okay with him being gone. I'm just not okay with 2011. I still got some animosity about that one.
You see some of these comments from the Drew League when LeBron walking to the. Oh my God,
he's still a freak of nature, yo.
You know how crazy that is. This nigga just like kind of like in a half trot, and niggas try to steal the ball from him, full spin in between them both, and just yam that shit. Man, I say I'm just being petty with him because he used to. I wanted him to stay. I actually thought this man was gonna be created like a Jordan type legacy in Miami, and when he left, it hurt.
He could have, honestly, man. If he stayed in Miami, those 2 rings he won after, he would have eventually won in Miami.
He would have won them probably in the next 2 years. He would have probably won them he would have probably had 7 rings by now if he would have stayed in Miami.
Yeah, man. But I learned to let that hurt go because we got 2 out the deal. Cleveland had them for 11 years and they only got 1 out of the deal.
Yeah.
I'll take 2 out. I'll take 2 out of 4 versus 1 out of 11.
Yeah, that's true. Where's Kyrie? They said Kyrie was playing.
I don't know. I ain't seen no highlights either.
I'm on Twitter. You know they got them all on Twitter. Shit. Let me see if I go to Kyrie and Braun. Let's see. Nah, Kyrie ain't there, bro.
Yeah, he would have been. He probably didn't go.
Yeah, I know there was another article saying that he was not going to go.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that one. I didn't even know he was playing today. But I think that's pretty dope. Because I think LeBron needed that moment. I didn't know anything about the Drew League thing back in the day, but this one coming out now, I think it's pretty dope because now I can say I've seen LeBron in that same space as Kobe Bryant, as Kevin Durant, like going to like the most gritty places to hoop and hooping.
Mm-hmm. So funny thing enough, I don't know. I tell everybody this all the time. If you want me to post your chats on the live, you have to comment on either Twitch or YouTube because with Facebook, I have to manually go to Facebook and pull up your comments. Dooley, had a whole conversation. Dooley Sheen then had a whole conversation on Facebook with us, and we ain't seeing none of the comments. He was talking about, did you guys pass the sports talk?
Oh yeah, me and D, we talk basketball primarily all the time. Yeah. So like that's what he's tuned in for. He's trying to see if we talking basketball.
I had him on Crash Culture, my Crash Culture podcast, the first podcast I did before this one, and me and him actually he was a guest on a few of those shows, and me and him talk a lot of sports on that show, but he mostly want to talk about them trash ass Redskins. That they changed into what they call them, the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, that's a horrible name.
That's a terrible name.
I'm not a football fan, but that's a horrible name.
Yeah. D, go on YouTube and comment. You feel me? So I can post your comments on screen next time because we don't have too much time left. We probably got like 10, 15 minutes left. I don't want to take up too much of your time, Mr. Keith. Mr. Keith Oliver.
You cool, man. I'm home today. I'm chilling. I was doing some writing earlier today, so I'm chilling, man. Probably gonna watch some summer league when we get off of here.
Yeah, man.
I watched some last night. So I'm interested to see what Sacramento does next year. I think they could
Why?
9 or 8 seed because Keegan Murray, he's solid. He had like 21 last night in limited minutes. They have a young guy. He just has a motor. He's not the most polished, but I can't remember his last name, but he plays center for them. And I think you move those two. If those two can get Keegan already has a roster spot. He's a lottery pick. But if the center can get a roster spot, pairing that with De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, and Domantas Sabonis, I think they could have a solid starting five next year, and move up. Will they be a top 8 team in the West? Probably not, but they can get to about 9, 10. They can move up from where they were last year, and even if the entire West improves, I just think they can improve in wins this season, just based on what I was seeing last night. And then they have Mike Brown. It'll be interesting to see what Mike Brown does when he can really coach, because I always thought he got the raw deal in Cleveland, because at that point in LeBron's career, I don't know if he was interested in being coached. I can't say he was or wasn't.
Young, real young. LeBron has to really like you as a coach almost now. He has to respect your mind and like you as a coach. I think that Mike Brown was a great defensive coach, but so far as an offensive coach, I think that LeBron was looking for that early in his career, and he didn't really get it, like a system for which he could be successful. And then not only that, guys didn't want to go to Cleveland, though.
But guys didn't want to go to Cleveland, but also I think the curse of LeBron James is the same curse of Michael Jordan, same curse of Allen Iverson, same curse of Kevin Durant to a degree, Shaq. These guys are polarizing, and you find yourself watching only them, and that's cool. Well, it's not cool, but that's understandable if you're a fan. If you're a teammate, your teammate can't be polarizing to you. Because if I'm so busy watching him, what am I doing?
Yep.
It's hard not to watch a dude who's 6'8", 250, who can run the floor in 3 dribbles, jump from the free throw line. He can hit threes. He can pass like magic. It's hard to not watch that guy.
Yeah.
But when you're constantly watching that guy, you're not getting better. And that's why I think there's only been certain players to actually be successful with him, and those were guys who were polarizing in their own right. D Wade, Kyrie, AD. Those guys are polarizing in the same way that LeBron is. So getting with him doesn't throw them off their game. I don't have to watch him because I am a generational talent too. Like AD is a generational talent. Kyrie's a generational talent. D Wade is the only one out of all 4 of them. To me, his motor was as charged, or his motor was as big as his skill level. Like, I think LeBron's skill outpaces his motor. I think Kyrie's skill outpaces his motor. I think D Wade's motor is just as big as his skill. Like, he goes just as hard in the effort and energy department as he does in skill. And I think when you're as good as LeBron James is and has been for his pretty much entire life, or at least for his entire NBA career, which is longer than he wasn't in the NBA. He's been in the NBA longer than he hasn't been.
Right. I know. I saw that before.
And so, with LeBron James and, always being so super talented, I think a disadvantage for him is that he kind of, even though he pushes himself and he trains, because of the level of expectation that he has and the fact that he, lived up to it, I wonder if, at least in basketball, if things hadn't been harder for him first, would he be further now? Because Kobe was drafted and traded on draft night. Jordan was kicked off of his high school team. LeBron has been the man since sophomore year of high school and never not been the man.
Right.
So I think for people like that, you know, you're talking about, you know, you learn more from losing in regards of most of the public opinion and even how his game has played at just about every level because he skipped college. Like I wonder what college would have done to somebody like LeBron James's confidence
coming in the league.
Yeah, because and not to say that would have made it better or would have made it worse. I just want to know what it would have been like when, you know, you're seeing zones because he went from high school, which is iso ball, to NBA, which is iso ball. College is where they almost exclusively play zone.
Right.
So LeBron has seen zone sometime in his NBA career, but not as consistently as he would have seen it if he went to college. So would he have been a better shooter if he went to college because he saw so much zone? Would he have been a better ball handler? Would he have run into some guys who may not have had any of the offensive game he had, but had those clamps? Because so like that's one of the things that I kind of wonder about LeBron and you know in his trajectory. Yeah,
I got a controversial take when it comes to LeBron and his teammates and the ways that he's accomplished his goals with his teammates so far as winning championships, having winning seasons and whatnot. I think that the difference between guys like LeBron and Jordan, like speaking more to your point about them being polarizing, yes, they are polarizing, but at the same time, LeBron's style of leadership is one of more of like you would want to be teammates with him. You want to get along with this guy. You respect this guy. You admire this guy. You know, he's such a great person and a basketball player. Mm-hmm. And with Jordan, he was a fucking asshole. You know,
Kobe too.
Right. So you know that you had to do what you had. You knew that you had to do what you're supposed to do. You feel me? They held you accountable every time. They're not just going to take the blame themselves. Yeah, they're going to take it on the chin. They're going to take the blame themselves. They're going to say, yeah, I got to be better this, that, and third. But then they're going to come to you and tell you, you got to be better directly to your face. You know what I mean? And you just going to have to sit with that. You feel me? And if you don't like it, you can fight him or get traded. One or the other. That's just how they were. So I think that that's one of the reasons why people hold them in a higher regard than LeBron because of the ferocity, the no nonsense, and then on top of that holds you accountable. You feel me? Be a man, step up, come to play. This is not a joke to me. You feel me? I'm trying to win. You feel me? Type of stuff. LeBron is more so of, yeah, I want to win really bad, but at the same time, I want to accomplish this goal with all you guys. You feel me? Type of personality, that leadership style of, yeah, let's all be good buddies and get along. And you know, if he was a coach, it would be better.
Yeah. And here's the thing, man. I think part of that is the byproduct of just the time that we're in and the time that LeBron happens to be playing basketball in. Because I think across boards, not just in basketball, in literally every space of work and productivity, we've seen a kind of shift in where you don't have to be an a-hole for me to do my job.
Yep.
You know, I've even seen that transition in the way in the training that I'm experiencing at DePaul, because traditionally, you know, and the stories that I heard before I got into theater school were that they break you down to build you back up. And, you know, DePaul is complete opposite of that. They don't, because here's the flaw in break you down to build you up. And I'm not saying that it's I'm not saying that it doesn't work ever, but the flaw in it is what if I break you down and I can't trigger the right thing to build you back up?
It's true. Very, very true. You got some cases of that when it comes to Kobe, like after Andrew Bynum left the Lakers, he became a head case, right? Career was over with. Who you had that was good with Jordan, and then after Jordan, they was Basically nobody. Scottie Pippen.
Tell me what I'm about to say. Tell me what Pippen did after Jordan.
You already know I was going there. Scottie Pippen, he did nothing after Jordan. Jordan was that shield for him. A lot of people try to say that, oh, yeah, the best years that he had was with Jordan. After he left Jordan, they try to make excuses. Bro, Scottie Pippen was drafted when? After Jordan? How many years after Jordan?
3?
3?
4? No, after Jordan. Wait, Jordan was drafted in 84, right?
Right.
So Scottie was drafted. I'm gonna find it.
Probably 88 or 89.
Let's see. Scottie was drafted in 87. So 3 years.
Okay. So after Jordan's last season, he was 31. He was 32 after Jordan's last season. Because Jordan retired in 97, 98.
Mm-hmm.
The second time.
And after that season, he never averaged more than 15 points again.
Yeah.
Jordan,
he never averaged 20. He never really averaged 20 outside of playing those years with Jordan, those glory years with Jordan.
Yeah, but that's why I said 15. Less than 15 is even worse because Jordan came back at 39 or 38 and played 39, played 2 years and averaged over 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
D Wade after LeBron left and he had that down year, D Wade was still going in and winning games, so he wasn't scoring as much, but he was scoring when it counted.
Yeah.
So
100% right.
So I think all of that is super relative. That's why, like, when people try and have a conversation with me about who averaged more or who had more total points, I'm like, those are just numbers without context. The context is what makes them important. Because if I scored 34 points in a game, but 30 of them are in the first half, that means the second half I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Or, if I only score 18 points in the game, but 10 of them are in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, that's more impressive than the dude who scored 20 in the first half. Because he scored a lot of points, but I scored the points that mattered.
Yep.
So,
Speaking of scoring points, what do you think going to happen with Kevin Durant and Kyrie in Brooklyn? You see he asked for that trade,
Man, it's just...
You think they trade him?
At some point, they got to. Because you can't let them walk away for nothing. But you can make them play for at least 2 years.
True.
Because you don't have to trade them. And the way that the NBA is moving what's the commissioner's name right now? I can't think of his name.
Adam Silver.
The way Adam Silver is moving, because he's talking about, not wanting players to request trades so early in their deal. So what I see the NBA doing long term, or maybe even quick short term, is putting a clause in contracts that, one, if they ask for a trade and deny, they still have to play, or they can be fined for refusing to play or for appearing to downplay just so they can get traded. Like, you're not gonna trade me, I'm gonna play bad and force you to trade me. I can see the NBA instituting fines for situations like that and making the player play to earn their money, at least for part of it, because it's like, a lot of times we talk about slavery being like modern day sports, but it's like you're signing a contract. Nobody's forcing you to re-sign this 4-year, $156 million deal.
Mm-hmm.
You decided to sign that contract because you were a free agent. You could have went anywhere. You signed with Brooklyn for 4 years because you wanted to be in Brooklyn at the time. Now you don't want to be in Brooklyn, and you're telling Brooklyn, hey, y'all need to get me out of here. Whoa, no, we don't, because you signed this contract saying you wanted to play here. Yeah, if you don't want to play here no more, that's cool, but we don't have to move you as quick as you want to move. We'll move you, but when it's convenient for us. And I think that's the other side of it that people don't really talk about. People talk about like, people... Hold on, I lost my train of thought. I looked down on my phone. What was I saying? I'm sorry.
You talking about them instituting a no trade, like no requesting a trade
Oh
clause?
yeah, because it's like people will see the business side, or they'll defend the players now. They'll be like, "Oh, it's the players get to treat it just like it's business too. Like if I want to go somewhere because I have a better business opportunity, that's cool. That's relevant. That's relevant. Like all of that matters. But at the same time, when you're working for like a Fortune 500 company and you sign a contract saying, "Oh, I'll work for 4 years. You guys pay off my loan. And you decide you want to leave in year 2. You got to pay them back. So you don't have to pay them back. You got to honor the contract because the world would be crazy if the team started requesting money back.
Yeah,
You want to play? Well, let me get that bread back because we signed a contract. I'm paying you based on you fulfilling this contractual obligation.
Mm-hmm. But this is the thing, though. I got a few points that I wanted to run down about that because number one, for me, I think that they're paying you a contract based off of what you've done, your resume, based off how you've played in the past few seasons for them, or whoever you were playing for before you got to this team. So whatever you've done on the court, they're paying you. That number that they're paying you is based on that, but they're also giving you this contract with the hope that you're going to deliver them that same level of play the next few years.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So those are 2 parts of a contract to me. But I'm 100% for player empowerment. I'm 100% for people, wanting to go to whatever team they want to go to. I didn't bash Kevin Durant for wanting to go to Golden State, but I can see why everybody say that's a weak move. I didn't bash LeBron for wanting to go to play in Miami, of course, because that's my team. So, but I didn't necessarily celebrate when he came down there. You feel me? Right. I was a D Wade fan. So I was just like, okay, we got him. All right, that's cool. We probably going to win some championships. Yay. I was more excited for Shaq, because Shaq was past his prime when he came to Miami.
Right.
But anyways, when it comes to those contracts and these players, I think that this just amounts to looking like bad business on Kevin Durant's end, because he signed that 4-year extension when he didn't have to. And then not only that, a player of his caliber, and you don't have a player option or no trade clause to maintain some sort of leverage.
Right, because there are players who have no trade clauses. So, like, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
And I think, if we think about it from a business sense, like, I think he was in such a hurry to get away from Golden State because he was in such a hurry to prove that he could do it on his own, that it's possible that he was either betting on himself that he would play well enough and things would go well enough that he would be able to make those negotiations the next time around, or he didn't think he would need them.
No, because remember, when he first signed with Brooklyn was almost like 3 years ago. His first year he sat out. He was injured, completely injured. Mm-hmm. And then the second year, he was supposed to be coming back. Something was going on the second year. No. His second year, they played against Milwaukee. That's when you still can't tell me to this day that Giannis didn't run underneath Kyrie and injure his ankle. You still can't convince me that Giannis didn't do that somewhat intentionally. Mm-hmm. You feel me? You remember that in the semifinals, Eastern Conference semifinals, when Brooklyn was playing the Bucks and Giannis injured.
You talking about last year?
Yeah, I'm talking about last year. So that was KD's second year. And then his third year was this past year, in which they lost to Boston in a sweep in the first round. So he's been in Brooklyn for 3 years. When he initially signed with him, he signed a 4-year max. They basically came to him the middle or the end of last year during the season, and he signed that extension at the end of the year last season. Before any of this started going how it was going, when they was having the talks about going into last season, that's when he signed it. Like at the end, like when he almost won that when he almost sent them basically to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
With that shot, that turnaround with the toe on the line.
Yeah.
That was when he signed the contract. After that.
So he got buyer's remorse. He was on a high. So that's what I'm saying. Like he had buyer's remorse. He was on the high. He signed the contract based on that moment for the extension. So then it's like it it's kind of like one of those things where you got to eat a little bit of that. Like you want us to understand that things didn't go the way that you anticipated. We understand it, but again, I don't have to agree with you just because I understand you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then on top of it, it's not in my best interest if I'm Brooklyn to agree with you just because I understand you. I know where you're
Exactly.
coming from. I know where you're coming from. But at the same time, where does that leave us? We just gave you almost 200 something $million, to
Right.
play for us for these next 4 years. We build this and sold this to our fans. Because you got to remember, you're a part of our brand now. You're Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets. You're
Yeah.
part of our brand. From a business sense, we're counting on you to put butts in those seats and get
Right.
people to buy jerseys. All right. The fact that you got you got this remorse because you signed this contract, that's not our problem. You remember what Jerry Reinsdorf in the Jordan documentary told Scotty. He said, I wouldn't sign this deal, but once you sign this deal, do not come back to me again because I'm not negotiating. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these guys, you got to realize these guys are billionaires. They're billionaires. They're business
owners of the teams, right?
The owners of the teams are billionaires. A couple of these athletes like LeBron, KD. LeBron's already a billionaire while he's playing, which is crazy. But KD is a billionaire or close to being a billionaire, is trying to work his way up to that level too. So he feels like he's a certain level of power. He's a businessman. Draymond Green made a perfect, amazing point on the Draymond Green show that they are businessmen too. You feel me? And they have their way of going about business too. But the part that Draymond Green left out is that he did sign that contract, and he has to honor that contract because in business, that's all you got really is the contract. That basically, instead of me giving you my word, you have it in writing, documented that I said that I'm going to fill this obligation.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's like, you sign the contract, so it's like, and it creates this precedent where dudes who don't even have half his cachet, because if you're not careful, you come off looking elitist, and you may not care, but that's how you come off because you're like, well, I'm Kevin Durant, I can make these type of moves. Everybody can't make these type of moves, but that's not my problem. Again, it's going back to the whole collective thing. Everybody don't think that way because Kevin's like, because I can do it, I'm gonna do it. Now, some other people may need to get in better situations, but a dude who's on the bench who knows he's a starter on another team can't demand a trade. He can ask for one.
Yep.
But instead of trading him, they'll just release him.
Mm-hmm. And he out all that money that he was getting because
right.
But it ain't. I don't think that it's like football. Football non-guaranteed money. NBA is all guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't mess with it. I don't mess with the NFL, man. For some reason, man, I don't mess with the NFL. Like,
why? The whole Kaepernick situation.
I mean, I think Cap was just he was just another symptom in a long line of sickness, bro. Because I look at Cap in the same way that I look at Michael Vick, that I look at Adrian Peterson. I look at all of them because they all did things or had their roles in things, right? But so did Ben Roethlisberger. So did the kicker who there was a kicker who beat his wife. But Ben Roethlisberger had multiple allegations at different points in his life of sexual assault. And there was no outrage by fans or NFL about him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought Cap was just the late Ricky Williams with the smoking and how they villainized him. Like, yeah. I just think the NFL continuously shows us how they do not care about black men outside of being in between the lines.
Yeah. Outside of going in there and taking that punishment on that field and entertaining them. It's a gladiator sport. Just like at the Coliseums where, you gladiators, you poor gladiators, fight for your freedom against a bunch of these lions. It was the same thing with these NFL players and them getting CTE from getting all these collisions to their head. Yeah, they have to live with the long-term repercussions while they make these owners billions of dollars. I don't even like the term owner, you feel me, when it comes to a team, but I get it. I'm not so, what do they call that? So much a lefty that, words hurt my feelings. No, they do own that team. But when they refer to that as the player's owner, your owner, blah, blah, blah. You feel me? Like, I don't like that. All the way don't like that.
I can see that. That makes sense.
So.
I'd rather you say franchise owner.
Yeah, the owner of the franchise or whatever, the owner of that team. I think that language and
I don't even
words are
like using the
very
word
important.
team. I'd rather say you own a franchise because that means you own a company, but you don't
Right.
own the people who work with or for the company.
Mm-hmm.
If I
Yep.
own the team, that implies grammatically Aaron Hernandez too. I was thinking about him. But if I own the team, grammatically, that implies that I own everybody who is on the team.
True.
So I'd rather hear like franchise owner or something because that implies you own a corporation, a conglomerate.
Yeah. But these they all show you the NFL owners, they all show you how they really feel about those players. Like if you look at Jerry what's his name? I'd be forgetting his name. Cowboys owner.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones, boy. Jerry Jones. I just look at Jerry Jones. I say, boy, he probably signed a deal with these guys and be calling them nigga at the same time.
Oh, 100%. Man, it's funny because the one NBA franchise owner who was like NFL owners got the boot.
Yep.
The
Yep.
one who was bold enough to be racist in public got the boot.
Yep. Yep. And
NFL,
they hate the NBA because of that. They hate it because the players have so much power in that league. They want it to be why can't they just shut up and dribble and play basketball like they do in the NFL? They can't sit over there and take knees in the NFL no more. Man, they put a pin in that shit so quick, boy. They made such a fuss about that. Oh, they're kneeling for the anthem, but they won't talk about the actual message or the actual reason why he was taking the knee. So man, that's just a little bit about some of the fake outrage. I forget what they call that nowadays. But the fake outrage that people have in sports. So, I mean, I mess with the NFL to a degree. My team, of course, is the Vikings. So I really don't have a lot to celebrate all the time. We go to the playoffs all the time, but at the same time, Super Bowls and stuff like that, they haven't won any that I've been watching, but neither have the Dolphins. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I've been fans of players, like polarizing players. Like I was a fan of Dion, I was a fan of Emmett, I was a fan of Vic, I was a fan of Ricky Williams. I like Patrick Mahomes. I respect Brady's game for what he's been able to do. But like as far as like, full out commitment to teams, like I know the schedule, I'm in front of the TV. Man, I've watched close to 82 games more than I've watched a full season of Dolphin football.
I go to the game to heckle the fans.
Yeah, I think I've been to maybe 2 Dolphins games.
Yeah, so you're not a Dolphins fan.
I was, but I had to get out of that abusive relationship, man.
Yeah, no.
Nah.
I think I was always different.
The only thing the Dolphins beat are their fans' expectations down.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
I don't know how Dolphin fans could sit in that perpetual cycle of losing.
I had to get off
the playoffs.
Yeah, I had to get off that boat, man.
Completely understandable. Completely understandable.
So that was the last little thing I was holding on into professional football. I have a younger brother who plays for the University of Central Florida. His name is
Brian.
No. My brother-in-law by marriage.
Okay.
His name is Amari Johnson. He's part of the starting receiving core. This coming year is going to be his senior year. I'm a fan of him. I'm a fan of watching him play football. I've been watching him since he was in middle school. Like when they were playing at parks. Like I've been watching him middle school, watching him play at high school. He played at Hallandale and Carroll City. So I'm a fan of his. But the sport in general, no.
You do Frank still play for Kansas City? I remember Frankie.
Last I saw Frank was playing arena football. He's not on and I don't even know if he's doing that anymore. But last I saw, he was on an arena roster.
Now I got to get him on the show. That's my nephew's uncle. I got to get him on one of these shows one time for the one time. You feel me? Because the Gators, the Florida Gators are my actual team. That was the first university or school, major university that anybody in my family ever went to. Was university and the first campus I ever visited. I think I've been to University of Florida, before I actually went to Broward College. Like I visited that campus before I visited Broward College, and that's the campus down the street. So, and my sister was going there when they had Tebow, the whole 9 yards. So that was my introduction to Florida football. Was Tim Tebow? What's the name of the quarterback? I think it was Chris Leak. Was that their quarterback at the time?
Yeah, you gonna make me lie?
Nah, but yeah, I remember it was Tim Tebow, Chris Leak. This was the time. This is a funny thing too. This is a story about how I almost became a Dolphins fan. It was the worst time of my life. I remember the Gators had just won the championship against Ohio State, and Ted Jr. I was going to Ted Brokefoot Ginn Jr. because that's what I was calling him at the time. But Ted Ginn was the kick returner for the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I remember in that game, that national championship game against Florida, he ran a kickoff return to the crib. I hated it, but during the game, he didn't do anything. Like he got shut down. Like he wasn't catching no passes, wasn't running no touchdowns back, no nothing. Florida won, the national championship that year. This is before they I think this was the first run that they went on. Like I said, Tebow was the fullback, Chris Leak was the quarterback. And then I remember it came to the draft. And I had been playing with Ricky Williams because I love Ricky Williams because he smoked weed and he had dreads and he was cool, of course. And I had been playing with him in NFL streets. Like I mean, you can make the custom teams on GameCube and put them on your team or whatever.
Yeah.
So was my position that I created was a quarterback. I put Ricky Williams at running back, and then I had I want to say Patrick Surtain or Sam Madison. So I had 2 Dolphins players on that team, and then I had Andre Johnson and a couple other players from around the league, like my favorite players at that time from around the league. And I remember my team was like the best in NFL streets. And I remember I was like, all right, this year I made a proclamation. If they draft a good quarterback, I was going to be a Dolphins fan that year. That was the year that they drafted Ted Ginn Jr. They traded away Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Pat Surtain, Sam Madison, Chris Chambers, Randy McMichael. And that was the year Nick Saban, he traded all those players away and left and went to Alabama. And they had the whole team set up to actually make a real playoff run.
Yeah.
And all they needed was a competent quarterback. You feel me? And Brady Quinn, because a lot of people they like to shit on Brady Quinn, but Brady Quinn was one of the top prospect quarterbacks at that time in the draft for Notre Dame. And the thing about players in any sport, it's about the system that you go into, what they surround you around. I mean, Ryan Tannehill was a wide receiver that they converted to quarterback. You feel me? And Dolphin fans believed in him like no tomorrow. Brady Quinn was actually an accomplished quarterback. You look at his college resume for Notre Dame, he was an accomplished quarterback in a pro-style offense. If he would have came to Miami, there's no telling with those weapons that he had and with those veterans that they had, they could have actually made a run, would have been good for the next 5 years, if not going to the Super Bowl. And then after that, it was about retooling after that. Once you get that certain quarterback and once you get that certain system, it's about retooling around them after that. But, bro, I remember they traded away the whole team. And
the Dolphins good for that type of disappointment, man. That's why I had to get off that bus.
Yeah.
Dolphins good for that type of disappointment.
Yeah. And that same year, I watched Adrian Peterson run for 296 against the San Diego Chargers. And I said, yeah, I'm going to be I don't care what team this is, but this guy is the best player I've ever seen. I'm going to be a fan of that team. So that's how I became a Vikings fan over a Dolphins fan. Yeah, but I go to their game and antagonize them too, though. So, yeah, we coming up on pretty much the end of the show, man. If you got any final takes or final thoughts that you want to leave the audience with, I know we said a lot about a lot of different things.
Yeah,
sports, theater, and acting and all. If you got to find a little statement that you want to make to the audience, now's the time.
Yeah, I'll share some I saw yesterday. I even posted it, but I think it's something that actually really helped usher me into moving to Chicago, and I think that it's just a dope piece of, just a dope way of thinking to take forward. You don't change your life by changing your life. You change your life by changing your mind.
Elaborate. Can you elaborate on it?
So, you can be going through, people not happy at their jobs, they don't like, something about where they live, and they think the solution is to move. Like, I'm gonna go to another state. Miami not working, I'm gonna go to Atlanta. Atlanta not working, I'm gonna go to New York. New York not working, I'm gonna go to LA. And that's an example of changing your life. You don't change your life by changing your life. You change your life by changing your mind, the way you think about things, the way that you approach things, the commitment that you have to things. And all that starts up here. Nothing in your physical space is going to happen consistently the way that you need it to, for you to see the things that you want in your life if you don't change your mind.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think that that's a great thing to lead the audience with. Control your thinking. The power of your will and intention dictates how your life should be moving forward. So I appreciate you for that, Keith, and I appreciate you for coming on Bands from TV. Maybe we'll get you on another episode in the future.
Yeah.
On that, we out.